The invasion. The skies over New Jakarta blazed with an unnatural light. Dr. Amora Hassan squinted against the glare, her heart pounding as she tried to make sense of the chaos unfolding around her. Moments ago, she had been delivering a lecture on xenobiology to a packed auditorium. Now, she stood on the university steps, watching as massive ships descended from the clouds, their hulls gleaming like polished obsidian. "It's happening," she whispered, her voice barely audible of the growing panic of the crowds. "They're really here." For years, Amira had been one of the loudest voices advocating for increased space exploration and defense. She had warned anyone who would listen that humanity wasn't alone in the universe, and that not all alien life might be friendly. But even she hadn't expected this, a full-scale invasion with no warning, no attempt at communication. As the first energy beams lanced down from the alien ships, carving glowing furrows through the city's skyline, Amira's scientific curiosity warred with her instinct for survival. She needed to get to safety, to find a way to contact the global defense network. But she also knew that every observation, every scrap of data about these invaders could be crucial in finding a way to fight back. A deafening explosion rocked the ground, and Amira stumbled, nearly falling down the steps. Through the smoke and debris, she saw a group of students huddled near the library entrance. Without hesitation, she ran towards them, shouting over the din. "We need to get underground. Follow me to the research bunkers." As they raced through the campus, dodging falling debris and panicked crowds, Amira's mind raced. Who were these aliens? What did they want? The ship's design was like nothing in any of the theoretical models she'd studied. Their weapons seemed to defy the laws of physics as she understood them. They reached the hidden entrance to the university's subterranean research facilities just as another explosion shook the ground. Amira punched in her access code with trembling fingers, ushering the students inside as the heavy blast doors slowly opened. "Dr. Hassan," a voice called out from the darkness within. "Thank God you're here. We've been trying to reach you." As her eyes adjusted to the dim emergency lighting, Amira recognized Dr. Chen Wei, her colleague in the astrophysics department. His usually immaculate lab coat was streaked with dust, and a thin trickle of blood ran from a cut above his eye. "Wei, what's happening? Have you made contact with the Defense Ministry?" Chen shook his head grimly. "Global communications are down. But before we lost contact, we received reports of simultaneous attacks on major cities worldwide. It's not just us, Amira. They're hitting everywhere at once." Amira felt a chill run down her spine. A coordinated global assault meant these weren't just raiders or an advanced scouting party. This was a full-scale invasion with the intent to conquer or destroy. "What about our orbital defenses, the moon base?" "Neutralized in the first wave," Chen replied, his voice heavy with despair. "Whatever these aliens are, their technology is centuries beyond ours. Our most advanced weapons barely scratched their ships." As the implications sank in, Amira forced herself to focus. They needed information, a way to fight back. "We need to gather data, analyze their weapons and defenses. There has to be a weakness, something we can exploit." She turned to the frightened students who had followed her into the bunker. "I know you're scared, but I need your help. We have some of the most advanced scientific equipment on the planet down here. We're going to use it to find a way to stop these invaders." For the next few hours, Amira and her makeshift team worked feverishly, analyzing every scrap of data they could gather from the university's sensors and the fragmented reports coming in from around the world. The picture that emerged was grim. The aliens, whom they began calling the Obsidian Fleet for their black ships, had neutralized Earth's major military installations within hours. Conventional weapons seemed useless against their advanced shielding technology. But it was the report from Dr. Yuki Tanaka, patched through on an emergency channel from Tokyo, that chilled Amira to her core. "They're taking the children," Yuki's voice crackled through the static. "All over the world, they're using some kind of teleportation technology to abduct children en masse. Schools, hospitals, homes, Nowhere is safe. We estimate. Oh God, we estimate they've taken over 800,000 already. Amira felt the blood drain from her face. But why? Why target the children? There was a long pause before Yuki responded, her voice barely above a whisper. We don't know. But whatever the reason, we have to stop them. Humanity's future depends on it. As the implications of Yuki's words sank in, Amira felt a steely resolve settle over her. This wasn't just an invasion, it was an existential threat to the human race itself. They needed to find a way to fight back, and fast. Wei, she called out, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. I need you to focus on analyzing their teleportation technology. If we can disrupt it, we might be able to stop the abductions. She turned to the students, seeing the same mix of terror and determination in their eyes that she felt herself. The rest of you split into teams. I want every scrap of data we have on their weapons, their shields, their communication systems. Look for patterns, anomalies, anything that might give us an edge. As her team scrambled to their tasks, Amira allowed herself a moment of grim reflection. Humanity was facing its darkest hour, outgunned and overwhelmed by an enemy they didn't understand. But if there was one thing she knew about her species, it was their capacity for innovation in the face of impossible odds. We will find a way, she murmured, half to herself and half as a prayer to whatever forces might be listening. We have to. The next few days passed in a blur of feverish activity. Sleep became a luxury as Amira and her team worked around the clock, analyzing data and developing theories. The periodic rumbles from the surface served as a constant reminder of the ongoing destruction above. On the third day, they had a breakthrough. One of the students, a brilliant young physicist named Zara, noticed a peculiar pattern in the energy signatures of the alien shields. Dr. Hassan, Zara called out, her eyes wide with excitement. I think I found something. Look at these oscillations in their shield frequency. Amira rushed over, her exhaustion forgotten as she examined the data. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. The alien shields weren't constant. They pulsed in a complex but predictable pattern. This could be it, she whispered. If we can synchronize our weapons to hit at the exact moment the shields are at their weakest point in the cycle, we might be able to penetrate their defenses, Chen finished, a glimmer of hope in his tired eyes. It wasn't much, but it was a start. As they worked to refine their discovery, more reports trickled in from other pockets of resistance around the world. The picture that emerged was one of a planet under siege, but not yet defeated. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes were using their intimate knowledge of the jungle to conduct guerrilla attacks on alien ground forces. In the mountains of Afghanistan, battle-hardened fighters were adapting their tactics to this new, unearthly foe. And in the oceans, submarine crews were using the depths to hide and strike at alien ships when they least expected it. But for every small victory, there were reports of further losses. The child abductions continued, with the global tally now estimated at over 2 million. Major cities lay in ruins, and vast swathes of farmland had been scorched from orbit, triggering fears of global famine. As the first week of the invasion drew to a close, Amira received a heavily encrypted transmission from what remained of the United Nations Security Council. They were calling for a coordinated global counterattack, using the shield vulnerability her team had discovered. This is our chance, she told her team, her voice filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. If we can strike at their command ships, disrupt their coordination, we might be able to turn the tide. But as they finalized their plans, a new transmission came through, this one from a source that made Amira's blood run cold. It was from inside one of the alien ships. The message was brief, spoken by a young voice trembling with fear. This is Aiden Chang, age 12, from Singapore. I don't know where I am or what they want with us. But there are thousands of kids here. Please help us. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. Amira looked around at her team, seeing the same realization dawning on their faces. The coming battle wasn't just for the fate of their planet, it was a rescue mission for millions of innocent children trapped in the heart of the enemy fleet. As they prepared for the fight of their lives, Amira felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. They had one chance to get this right. If they failed, it wouldn't just mean the end of human civilization, it would mean condemning millions of children to an unknown but undoubtedly horrific fate. "We won't let them down," she vowed, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. "Whatever it takes, we're bringing our children home." As the countdown to the global counterattack began, Amira couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger story. Humanity was about to take its first steps onto a galactic stage, baptized in fire and desperation. Whatever the outcome, nothing would ever be the same again. The fate of the human race hung in the balance, and the next few hours would determine whether they would rise to meet this cosmic challenge or fade into the annals of extinct species. But as Amira looked at the determined faces around her, she felt a surge of pride and hope. If any species could snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, it was humanity. The invasion had begun. Now, it was time for the counterattack. The quantum resistance. The holographic display flickered to life in the heart of the underground bunker, casting an eerie blue glow over the faces of Earth's last hope. Dr. Amira Hassan stood at the center, her eyes blazing with a mixture of determination and barely contained fury. "Operation Stardust is go," she announced, her voice carrying to every corner of the makeshift war room. "Humanity strikes back today." Around her, a diverse group of survivors, scientists, soldiers, and ordinary citizens turned resistance fighters, leaned in, hanging on her every word. They represented the last fragments of a shattered global community, united in their desperation to reclaim their world and rescue the millions of children stolen by the alien invaders. "Thanks to the breakthrough of our quantum entanglement team," Amira continued, gesturing to a group of bleary-eyed physicists, "we now have a way to communicate instantly across the planet, undetectable by the Obsidian fleet." A murmur of excitement rippled through the crowd. For weeks they had been isolated, fighting blind against an overwhelmingly superior force. This changes everything. Zara, the young physicist who had first noticed the pattern in the alien shields, stepped forward. "But that's not all," she said, her voice trembling with barely contained excitement. "We found a way to weaponize the entanglement effect." The holographic display shifted, showing a diagram of what looked like a handheld device. "We're calling it the Q-pulse," Zara explained. "When activated, it creates a localized quantum field that disrupts the aliens' technology. Their shields, their weapons, even their neural implants, all rendered useless." A grizzled general, his uniform tattered and stained, leaned forward. "How long does the effect last?" "Only a few seconds," Zara admitted. "But in those seconds, we can hit them with everything we've got," the general finished, a predatory grin spreading across his face. Amira nodded. "Exactly. We've managed to produce a limited number of key pulses. Our plan is to distribute them to key resistance cells around the world. At precisely 300 hours tomorrow, we launch a coordinated global assault." The display changed again, showing a map of major alien strongholds. "Our primary targets are their command ships," Amira continued. "If we can take those out, we believe their ground forces will be thrown into disarray." A hand rose from the back of the room. "What about the children?" asked a woman, her eyes haunted. "My daughter, she's up there somewhere." Amira's expression softened. "Rescuing the abducted children remains our top priority. We've identified several ships that we believe are being used as holding facilities." She swallowed hard, pushing down her own anger and grief. "Special forces teams will be deployed to infiltrate those ships during the chaos of our main assault." As the briefing continued, detailing the intricate plan of attack, Amira couldn't help but marvel at the ingenuity and resilience of her fellow humans. In mere weeks, they had gone from a species on the brink of extinction to one poised to challenge their would-be conquerors. But the true test was yet to come. The next day, as the hour of the attack approached, Amira found herself in a stealth shuttle, leading a strike team towards one of the massive alien command ships hovering over the ruins of London. The Q-pulse felt heavy in her hand, a tangible weight of responsibility. 2 minutes to optimal firing range, the pilot announced, his voice tight with tension. Amira looked around at her team, a mix of hardened special forces operatives and brilliant scientists, each chosen for their unique skills. Among them was Chen Wei, her old colleague, now sporting a series of burn scars across his face from a close encounter with an alien energy weapon. "Remember," Amira said, meeting each of their eyes in turn, "our primary objective is to locate and rescue as many children as possible. The Q-pulse will give us a window of opportunity, but it won't last long. We move fast, we stay together, and we bring our kids home." A chorus of determined nods answered her. These people had all lost someone to the invaders. This wasn't just a mission, it was personal. 30 seconds, the pilot called out. Amira closed her eyes for a moment, centering herself. When she opened them, her gaze was steel. "For Earth," she said simply. "For Earth," the team echoed. The shuttle burst from its cover, racing towards the underbelly of the massive alien ship. Energy beams lanced out, seeking to swat them from the sky, but the pilot's skill kept them just ahead of destruction. "Now!" Amira shouted as they came within range. She activated the Q-pulse. For a heartbeat, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a sound like reality itself tearing, a shimmering wave of distortion exploded outward from the device. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien energy weapons sputtered and died. The shimmer of their shields flickered and faded, and for a brief, crucial moment, the massive ship hung defenseless in the sky. "All teams, go. Amira yelled into her quantum communicator, knowing that similar scenes were playing out at alien strongholds across the globe. Their shuttle slammed into the now unprotected hull of the command ship, cutting through the metal-like tissue paper. As they disembarked, Amira saw other resistance ships following in their wake, a swarm of humanity striking back at their tormentors. Inside the alien vessel was a nightmare of twisting biomechanical corridors and pulsing organ-like walls. But Amira and her team moved with purpose, following the blueprint they had painstakingly pieced together from weeks of observation and the scattered testimonies of escaped prisoners. They encountered surprisingly little resistance at first. The Q-pulse had done its job, leaving the aliens disoriented and their automated defenses offline. But Amira knew it wouldn't last. Already, she could hear the distant sounds of battle as the invaders regrouped. "This way," Chen called out, consulting a handheld scanner. "I'm picking up a large concentration of human biosigns 2 levels down." They fought their way down, using a combination of conventional weapons and hastily reverse-engineered alien technology. With each alien they took down, Amira felt a grim satisfaction. This was for every city reduced to ash, for every family torn apart. Finally, they reached a massive chamber, its walls lined with what looked like thousands of translucent pods, and in each pod— "Oh God," someone whispered. Children. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of human children, suspended in some kind of stasis field. Their faces were peaceful, unaware of the battle raging around them. Amira's heart clenched at the sight, but she forced herself to focus. "Start the extraction process," she ordered. "We need to get as many out as we can before." A piercing shriek cut her off. At the far end of the chamber, a massive door was slowly grinding open, and through it came a being that haunted Amira's nightmares. It was vaguely humanoid, but there any resemblance to humanity ended. Its body was a shifting mass of metallic tendrils and pulsing, otherworldly flesh. Multiple eyes, glowing with an unnatural intelligence, focused on the human intruders. And when it spoke, its voice reverberated not just in the air, but directly in their minds. "Foolish creatures," it boomed. "Did you think we would not pick for your primitive ATTACKs?" With a gesture, It sent a wave of energy coursing through the chamber. The Q pulse in Amura's hand grew hot, then exploded in a shower of sparks. You heavy spirit, the alien continued, its mental voice tinged with what might have been amusement. Perhaps that is why we chose your offspring. They will serve as excellent hosts for the next generation of our kind. Horror and revulsion swept through Amira as the implications became clear. These weren't just invaders, they were parasites, intent on using humanity's children as vessels for their own twisted reproduction. But as she looked around at her team, at the faces of the sleeping children in their pods, Amira felt something else rising within her. A fury so intense it bordered on incandescent. "No," she said, her voice quiet but filled with steel. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to take our children, our future." She raised her voice, addressing not just the alien before her, but all of its kind. "We are humanity. We faced extinction before, ice ages, plagues, our own destructive nature. And every single time, we've come back stronger." She took a step forward, and to her surprise, the alien took a step back. "You think you know us?" Amira continued, her voice rising. "You think you can predict us? We're the species that looked at the impossible and said, 'Watch us.' We went from our first powered flight to walking on the moon in less than 70 years. We split the atom, unraveled our own genetic code, and now we're here, fighting beings from beyond the stars." Around her, she sensed her team standing taller, drawing strength from her words. "So, here's what's going to happen," Amira declared, her eyes blazing. "We're taking our children back. We're taking our planet back. And then we're coming for you. Not just to defend, not just to survive, but to thrive. Because that's what humanity does. We adapt, we overcome, and we sure as hell don't go quietly into the night." For a moment, there was silence. Then, to Amira's shock, she felt a tremor of fear emanating from the alien being. And in that moment, she knew, the tide had turned. Humanity had found its voice, its strength. The war was far from over, but for the first time since the invasion began, victory seemed possible. As if to punctuate her declaration, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. In the distance, they could hear explosions, the sound of other human strike teams fighting their way in. Amira turned to her team, her eyes alight with fierce determination. "Let's bring our children home," she said, "and show these aliens why you should never, ever underestimate the human spirit." With a rallying cry, they charged forward, ready to fight not just for their lives, but for the very soul of humanity. The battle for Earth had entered a new phase, and the galaxy was about to learn just how indomitable the human spirit could be. The Quantum Awakening. The alien command ship shuddered, its once impenetrable hull now scarred and breached in a dozen places. Dr. Amura Hassan stood at the heart of the chaos, her makeshift team of scientists and soldiers working frantically to free the captive children from their stasis pods. "Neurolink disengaged," shouted Chen, his fingers flying over an alien console he hijacked, initiating mass revival sequence. As the pods began to hiss open, Amira felt a surge of hope, but that hope was quickly tempered by a new, terrifying realization. "Wait," she called out, her eyes widening as she examined the medical readouts. "Something's changed in their neural patterns. The alien influence, it's not just superficial." Before she could elaborate, the first of the children began to stir. A young girl, no more than 7, sat up in her pod. When she opened her eyes, Amira gasped. Instead of pupils, a swirling vortex of cosmic energy danced in her irises. "The convergence approaches," the girl intoned, her voice a dissonant blend of child and ancient being. "Humanity stands at the crossroads of evolution." All around the chamber, more children were awakening, each displaying the same otherworldly transformation. The alien entity that had confronted them earlier let out a sound that could have been laughter or despair. "You see, no." It projected into their minds. The POCS cannot be REVERSD. These young ones are the bridge between our kindies. Amura's mind raced, piecing together the implications. The aliens hadn't just been abducting children. They'd been using them as a conduit for some kind of cosmic evolutionary leap. Dr. Hassan, one of her team members, called out urgently, "You need to see this." On a holographic display, images were pouring in from around the globe. Everywhere, the awakened children were exhibiting impossible abilities. In New York, a group of them had linked hands, creating a force field that repelled alien attackers. In Tokyo, others were somehow controlling the invaders' own technology, turning it against them. "It's a quantum entanglement on a biological scale," Zara breathed, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. They somehow merged with the fundamental fabric of the universe itself. Amira stood frozen, the weight of the moment crushing down on her. They'd come to rescue humanity's future, only to find that future had been irrevocably altered. But as she watched the children, her own species' offspring, wielding powers that defied comprehension, a new understanding began to dawn. "This isn't an invasion," she said slowly, turning to face the alien entity. "It's an ascension. You're not conquerors. You're midwives." The alien's form seemed to ripple, its multitude of eyes blinking in what might have been approval. "Potential resiloptinized. Trial by fire necessary. Humanity proves worthy." As if triggered by these words, the ship around them began to transform. Walls became transparent, offering a breathtaking view of Earth below and the star-studded cosmos beyond. And there, emerging from what seemed to be folds in space itself, came new ships. But these were unlike the ominous black vessels of the invading fleet. These shimmered with an opalescent light, their forms fluid and ever-changing. A new voice, one that seemed to resonate from everywhere at once, filled the chamber. "The Galactic KUNCL 8K humanity's emergency. The quarantine is lifted." Amira's team looked to her, their expressions a mix of awe and uncertainty. She took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders as she prepared to address not just her people, but seemingly the universe itself. "I am Dr. Amira Hassan of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the enormity of the moment. "We came here as warriors, ready to fight for our children and our world. We find ourselves instead on the threshold of something, beyond our wildest imaginations." She gestured to the transformed children, who now stood in a loose circle, their cosmic eyes fixed on her. "These children, our children, seem to be the key to unlocking humanity's next step. But we won't be ushered blindly into a new era. We demand answers, understanding, and above all, a choice." The chamber fell silent, the weight of countless alien intelligences seeming to press in on them. Then one of the children, the same young girl who had first awakened, stepped forward. "We are the bridge," she said, her voice now a harmonious blend of human and something far vaster. "Through us, humanity will have access to knowledge and power beyond imagining, but it will be humanity that chooses how to wield it." As if to demonstrate, the girl raised her hand. A sphere of swirling energy formed above her palm, within which Amira could see glimpses of distant worlds, advanced technologies, and scientific concepts that made her head spin. "The Convergence offers this gift freely," the girl continued, "but it cannot be forced. Each human, in their own time, must choose to embrace the quantum awakening." Amira felt a swell of pride. Even on the cusp of transcendence, humanity's free will, their most fundamental trait, was being respected. She turned to the alien entity, which now seemed less monstrous and more transitional, a being that existed between states of evolution. "And what of you?" she asked. "What is your role in all this?" The entity's form shimmered, becoming more translucent. "We are THCATALOSTS. Our journey ends as yours begins. We return to the cosmic HFY. As they watched, the being's form dissolved into motes of light, swirling around the chamber before dispersing into the ether. The invasion ships outside began to do the same, fading from view like mirages. Amura's quantum communicator crackled to life, flooding the chamber with reports from around the globe. The alien forces were disappearing everywhere, leaving behind only the transformed children and a world forever changed. As the full impact of what had occurred began to sink in, Amira felt a tug on her sleeve. She looked down to see the young girl with the cosmic eyes smiling up at her. "It's time to go home," the child said. "There's so much to learn, so much to discover." Amira nodded, a mix of emotions swirling within her. The war was over, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. As she prepared to lead her team and the awakened children back to Earth, she couldn't help but smile. "Well," she said, gazing out at the star-filled expanse before them, "I always did tell my students that the universe was full of surprises." As they made their way to the shuttles, Amira's mind was already racing with the implications of what had occurred. Humanity had not just survived an alien invasion, they had catapulted themselves onto the galactic stage in a way no one could have predicted. The quantum awakening of the children was just the beginning. Earth would need to adapt quickly to its new reality as a focal point of cosmic evolution. There would be challenges ahead, political, ethical, and philosophical questions to grapple with, but there would also be wonders beyond imagining. Amora thought of all the scientists, dreamers, and explorers throughout human history who had looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. Now, humanity had not just made contact with alien life, but had been offered a place among the cosmos' most advanced civilizations. As the shuttle lifted off, carrying them back to a world forever changed, Amira felt a sense of boundless possibility. The invasion that had threatened to end humanity had instead become the catalyst for their greatest leap forward. The stars, once so distant and unreachable, now seemed to beckon, and humanity, resilient and adaptable as ever, stood ready to answer the call. The cosmic revolution. Dr. Amora Hassan stood before the United Nations General Assembly, the eyes of the world upon her. The chamber, once a symbol of earthly politics, now pulsed with an otherworldly energy. Holographic displays flickered around her, showing scenes from across the globe and beyond. "Ladies and gentlemen of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment, "we stand at the dawn of a new era. The quantum awakening has transformed not just our children, but the very fabric of our reality." As if on cue, a group of the transformed children, now dubbed Starborn by the media, appeared beside her in a shimmer of cosmic energy. Their eyes, swirling with the secrets of the universe, surveyed the assembled world leaders. "But with great power comes great responsibility," Amira continued. "We must navigate this cosmic revolution carefully, balancing progress with ethics, discovery with caution." She gestured, and a holographic galaxy map sprang to life, showing Earth's new position in a vast interstellar community. The Galactic Council has extended an invitation for Earth to join their ranks. But before we take that step, we must address the challenges here at home. Images flashed across the chamber, protests demanding access to the new quantum technologies, religious groups grappling with the implications of humanity's evolutionary leap, scientists working feverishly to understand the new laws of physics that seem to bend to the will of the Starborn. "We propose the formation of a global initiative, Project Ascension," Amira announced. "Its mission will be threefold." She held up one finger. "First, to ensure the safe and ethical integration of our Starborn children back into society. They may have touched the cosmos, but they are still our children in need of guidance and love." A second finger joined the first. "Second, to oversee the responsible development and distribution of quantum-based technologies. We stand on the brink of solving world hunger, eliminating disease, and reversing climate change. But we must do so thoughtfully without creating new inequalities." Finally, a third finger rose. "And third, to prepare humanity for its role on the galactic stage. We may have been thrust into a cosmic community, but we must enter it as equals, with our human values intact. The chamber erupted in a mixture of applause and urgent whispers. Amira could sense the fear, excitement, and anticipation rippling through the crowd. She raised her hands for silence. I know many of you are afraid. The world as we knew it has changed forever. But let's not forget who we are, the species that looked at the impossible and made it possible. We faced extinction-level events before and emerged stronger. This is our greatest challenge and our greatest opportunity. Suddenly, one of the starborn children, a boy no older than 10, stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of eons. We bring a message from the cosmic consciousness, he intoned. The chamber fell deathly silent. Humanity's path is unique. Your blend of curiosity, resilience, and compassion is rare in the universe. It is why you were chosen. The boy's eyes flared with stellar fire. But a storm approaches. Ancient forces stir in the dark between galaxies. Earth must be ready. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly. Amira felt a chill run down her spine, but she steeled herself. This was the moment that would define humanity's future. Then we shall be ready, she declared, her voice ringing with determination. Not just for ourselves, but for all sentient life. Earth will stand as a beacon of hope in the cosmos. As if in response to her words, the starborn children began to glow, their auras expanding to fill the chamber with shimmering light. World leaders gasped as they felt a momentary connection to the cosmic consciousness, a fleeting glimpse of the wonders and perils that awaited. When the light faded, Amira saw a change in the eyes of those around her. Fear was replaced by resolve, uncertainty by determination. The vote is unanimous, the UN Secretary-General announced, his voice filled with awe. Project Ascension is approved. Dr. Hassan, you will lead humanity into this new frontier. As the chamber erupted in cheers, Amira felt the weight of history settling on her shoulders. But she also felt a surge of excitement. Humanity had been given a second chance, an opportunity to rewrite its destiny among the stars. In the days that followed, the world transformed at a dizzying pace. Quantum-powered cities began to rise from the ruins of the invasion, their spires reaching towards the heavens. The Starborn, working in harmony with Earth's brightest minds, unlocked secrets of the universe that reshaped every field of science and technology. But it wasn't just about technological progress. The quantum awakening had sparked a global spiritual and philosophical renaissance. Ancient wisdom merged with cosmic insights, giving birth to new ways of understanding existence itself. Amira found herself at the center of it all, guiding humanity through its growing pains as it took its first steps as a galactic civilization. There were setbacks and challenges, rogue groups seeking to exploit the new technologies, cosmic entities testing Earth's readiness, the ever-present threat of the storm the Starborn had foreseen. But with each challenge, humanity proved its worth. The same spirit that had allowed them to survive the invasion now drove them to thrive in a universe of infinite possibilities. 5 years after the quantum awakening, Amira stood on the bridge of the CSS Prometheus, Earth's first faster-than-light vessel. Around her, a crew of humans and Starborn worked in perfect harmony, their minds linked to the ship's quantum core. As they prepare for their maiden voyage, a diplomatic mission to the heart of the Galactic Council, Amira felt a sense of pride and wonder. Humanity had not just survived, they had transcended. Course set for the Andromeda Galaxy, the navigation officer announced. Quantum drive spooling up. Amira took a deep breath, savoring the moment. "Take us to the stars," she commanded. As the Prometheus leaped into the quantum slipstream, leaving Earth behind in a blaze of cosmic fire, Amira knew that this was just the beginning. The cosmic revolution had begun, and humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. Little did they know that their greatest challenges and their greatest triumphs still lay ahead, waiting for them in the infinite expanse of the universe. The Nexus Paradox. The CSS Prometheus erupted from the quantum slipstream, reality rippling around its hull like disturbed water. Dr. Amora Hassan steadied herself against the captain's chair, her eyes widening at the sight before them. The Galactic Council's headquarters wasn't a planet or a space station. It was a living nebula, pulsing with consciousness and impossibly vast. Amora had no name for danced across its swirling surface. "By all that's holy," breathed Captain Zara Chen, her voice filled with awe. "It's beautiful." Amira nodded. Her scientific mind was already racing. And impossible. A structure of this size shouldn't be able to maintain cohesion. Unless. Her words trailed off as a beam of pure thought lanced out from the nebula, enveloping the Prometheus. In an instant, Amira felt her consciousness expand, connecting with every member of her crew and beyond, to the billions of minds that made up the Galactic Council. A voice, both singular and multitudinous, resonated through their linked minds. WELCOMME, Shehal Droen of Earth, UHAVENXPCT. Amira stepped forward, instinctively knowing how to project her thoughts into this cosmic network. "We come seeking knowledge, alliance, and a greater understanding of our place in the universe." There was a ripple of what felt like amusement from the collective consciousness. UHAVLRED begin to GARSP, the truth, DR, HASAN, your STRBOR and were but TAE first STEP. Now you must face the NEXUSPRA. Before Amira could ask what that meant, the nebula pulsed, and reality itself seemed to fracture around them. The Prometheus and its crew found themselves transported to a realm beyond normal space-time. Here, they saw the universe not as a three-dimensional expanse, but as an intricate web of intersecting timelines and probability streams, and at the center of it all, a swirling vortex of pure potentiality, the Nexus. "This is the heart of creation," the Council's voice explained, "the source of all quantum phenomena. Your species stumbled upon its power by accident, but now you must learn to wield it intentionally." Amira watched in awe as entire galaxies were born and died in the blink of an eye. Civilizations rose and fell in heartbeats. She saw alternate versions of Earth, some thriving utopias, others barren wastelands. "The Nexus paradox," she whispered, understanding dawning. "Infinite possibility means infinite danger. One wrong move could unravel the fabric of reality itself." "Precisely," the Council confirmed. "This is why we tested your species. The power to reshape her reality must be tempered by wisdom and to sion." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the Prometheus. Lieutenant Hirapatel's voice cut through the cosmic reverie. "Dr. Hassan, we're detecting a massive energy surge from Earth." Reality shifted again, and they were back in normal space, staring at a holographic display of their home planet. Amira's heart sank as she saw a familiar sight, a swirling vortex of dark energy, eerily similar to the Nexus, forming in Earth's atmosphere. "It's happening again," Zara gasped. "Like the invasion, but worse." Amira's mind raced. The storm the Starborn had prophesied. This had to be it. But armed with a new understanding of the Nexus, she saw it for what it truly was, a tear in the fabric of reality itself. This is no ordinary enemy, Amira realized. It's entropy incarnate, the ultimate force of cosmic destruction. The Galactic Council's voice rang out once more. "The Ancient Ones awaken. They seek to unravel creation itself. Earth stands at the Efeil's room. Its FAT will DTE on mine, the FAT of OLXIS tense." Amira felt the weight of this revelation settle upon her. Humanity hadn't just joined a galactic community, they had become the linchpin in a cosmic struggle beyond imagining. "We need to get back to Earth," she commanded. "Now." As the Prometheus prepared to jump, Amira turned to address her crew. Their faces showed fear, but also determination. They had come too far to falter now. "What we've learned here changes everything," Amira said, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. "We're not just fighting for our planet anymore. We're fighting for the very nature of reality." She gestured to the swirling maelstrom visible on the view screen. "That vortex is a wound in the universe, and we, with our newfound connection to the Nexus, might be the only ones who can heal it." Captain Chen nodded grimly. "But how do we fight something like that? We're talking about forces beyond our comprehension." Amura's eyes blazed with determination. "We do what humanity has always done. We adapt, we innovate, and we refuse to give up, no matter the odds." She turned to the starborn members of the crew, their cosmic eyes swirling with barely contained power. "You've touched the fabric of the universe. Now it's time to use that connection. We're going to rewrite the laws of physics if we have to." As the Prometheus leaped back into the quantum slipstream, hurtling towards it Earth facing cosmic annihilation, Amira felt a strange calm settle over her. This was humanity's ultimate test, a crucible that would either break them or forge them into something truly transcendent. The fate of not just Earth, but all of creation hung in the balance. And Amira Hassan, once a simple xenobiologist, now stood at the center of the greatest conflict in cosmic history. As they emerged from the slipstream into Earth's orbit, the sight that greeted them was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The dark energy vortex had grown, its tendrils reaching out to engulf entire continents. Reality itself seemed to be unraveling around its edges. But humanity, true to form, was not going quietly. The quantum technologies developed in the years since the awakening were being deployed en masse. Cities encased themselves in shimmering force fields. Massive energy collectors attempted to siphon off the vortex power, and in orbit, a hastily assembled fleet of Earth's finest stood ready to face the impossible. Amira took a deep breath, steeling herself for the battle to come. "All right," she said, her voice carrying to every ship in the fleet for their quantum entanglement. "Let's go save reality." As the Prometheus dove into the maelstrom, leading humanity's charge against cosmic entropy, Amira couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They had come so far, evolved so much, in such a short time. And now, they stood as the universe's last best hope. Whatever the outcome, she knew one thing for certain: the legend of humanity's stand against the void would echo through eternity. The ultimate battle for existence itself had begun.